This week, we're going to talk about one of the biggest stumbling blocks people have to understanding the market, and it has nothing to do with being able to predict the future. When people think about understanding the market, they think about data and trends when they really should be thinking about concepts. And one of the most important concepts that I've realized the importance of after over almost 30 years and working with hundreds of clients is that the market does not think, look, act, operate like you or I do. We all have the tendency to put our own attributes, thoughts, logic on not only other people, but other things. And the market is no different. And so it is with regularity that I'll have people say, man, the market's crazy. Why would it be acting like this? It should have gone up when it went down, or down when it should have gone up, because we're thinking about how we would react to such news, which is not exactly the way that the market is going to react to that same news. I'm going to walk through four kind of key concepts around this with a few examples to illustrate them to help hopefully bring this point home. The first is Mr. Market is ruthless. You could think back to World War II and its impact positively on the economy, and then the stock market and the disconnect there between what was this all-time human tragedy and loss of life on the one hand, and yet somehow perversely positive for markets and stocks. You don't have to go back that far. You can go back to March of 2020 when there are so many unknowns around COVID. We're being locked in our homes for the first time in the country's history. There's political strife and turmoil, and all that felt very ugly to, I think, just about any of us, regardless of our own takes on it. And yet the market is advancing from its trough to finish not only positive overall for the year, but from the March lows to the end of the year up almost 67%. How can this be? Well, the market, again, is far more like a calculator than it is like a person. And so the things we think it should think of as important, putting on our humanitarian hats, is not what it's designed to take into account. It's meant to look at dollars and cents and profitability, no matter how ugly and unseemly that might be given what's driving it or what else is going on in the world around us. The second point is Mr. Market isn't one person or a stock or industry, it's many. It's many people making a lot of different collective decisions. It's also representative of a lot of stocks. And so if you think about particularly that last point, something that we see quite often is people who are going through something, or their industry is going through something, and like, man, this is bad. And it may be for that industry, it may be just for their company, but the stock market is a much broader collection. And as we're seeing this year, it doesn't necessarily take a whole lot of stocks doing quite well to push up the broader indice as a whole. The third thing is Mr. Market is not the economy. So I alluded to, it's not just one person, one experience. Most business, most activity that's going on within our economy is small business, and yet that's not what the market's reflecting. And again, COVID really brought this point home for those who looked at it. Yeah, around us, a lot of our friends were losing their businesses. A lot of the restaurants or small shops that we love to frequent were really struggling with some of the different mandates that existed, and yet the stock market as a whole was lifting. Well, why? Well, the S&P 500 is not your local economy. It is not reflective of the small business. And so it's probably the easiest and most recent example, but there are some of those types of things going on all the time where a piece of the economy or a certain segment, i.e. small local business, is again having a much different experience than what is being reflected within the stock market in general. The other thing is if you look at the economy, there are oftentimes companies or sectors they're able to thrive, whether it's innovation or ingenuity, and do far better than the economy as a whole. And so while we might be in a recession, there can still be pieces of a market that are doing quite well. Or while one sector is struggling or going away altogether due to technological innovations, another is being born. And that is just part of the life cycle. What happens is our personal experiences, our personal exposures perhaps, can cloud that judgment and make it feel all bad, which is not only an incorrect but oftentimes outlook, but something that can help us make counterproductive decisions. Point 4 is the market may not appear rational, but over time it is rational. Again, If we look at it, certainly there are short-term periods. Matt was asking about this question. Well, isn't there ever a news headline that can rock the market? Of course. There are things that happen that make the market be, as we are, far more of a prisoner of the moment. But generally speaking, to Benjamin Graham's quote about that in the short term, the market is a voting machine, but over time, it's a weighing machine. Far quicker than our emotions usually abate as individuals or individuals investors, the market has begun to process through all the data, again, being far more the cold calculator to look at what is going to be. This can work both ways. It's not just about the market moving to new highs off the lows. It can also be us feeling like everything's rosy and sunny around us because maybe we hold the right stock or stocks in general, or our particular company is doing well, while the economy is beginning and the stock market is beginning to sell off. Either way, it oftentimes, again, doesn't line up with our realities. And while calling out and saying, well, your reality isn't the ultimate reality, sounds obvious when one points it out to us, in the individual moment, it gets very hard to disconnect those without, again, that third-party person holding you accountable, us too, to really keep that big picture in mind. In closing, Mr. Market may not be someone you want to hang out with. It may not be someone you would invite over for your barbecue. It's pretty cold. It's pretty calculating. It may not have a whole lot in common with it, but it is an important part for most people of reaching their financial goals. So don't get too frustrated with him when he doesn't act as you would hope that he would. Just keep in mind, he's got his own agenda, but that agenda is still something that can help you reach the goals that you have for you and your family. With that, as always, feel free to reach out if you'd like to chat more. Appreciate your time.